Tshwane Mayor Randall Williams has hosted a briefing to assure residents that despite the differences, the coalition government in the city is stable and committed to improving service delivery for all. Well, the executive mayor joins me now. A very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. As the DA and the ANC tit-for-tat continues unabated amid a pending court action to challenge the election of Dada Morera as the new mayor of the City of Joburg, questions around coalition stability have resurfaced. You've moved to reassure residents that all is well in the city of Tshwane. How confident are you? And perhaps speaking to the reason why you showing this show of confidence.
Good afternoon, Paul. Well, yes, look, over the last few months, the perception has been created that coalitions are inherently unstable. In South Africa, coalitions, forming coalitions to govern, is a new phenomenon and these type of governments have existed, for example, in the Scandinavian countries, Germany, since the end of the Second World War. So they are greatly experienced in running coalition government. We are new at it. I mean, we're making mistakes, we're learning about it, but it doesn't mean that because you have problems in Joburg, that inherently now you will have the same type of problems in the city of Tshwane. So we need to dispel that perception.
Now, the city of Tshwane has had its ups and downs. It was placed under administration in 2020 over mismanagement and irregular expenditure. We've also seen signs of the emergence, perhaps, of a rift between your party, the DA, and Action SA in Tshwane. Just recently, looking back at the over 26 billion rand contract for the refurbishments of the two city-owned Rooiwal and Pretoria West power stations, I mean, that was perhaps a hint. So in the midst of the fingers being pointed, looking at what's happening and who's responsible perhaps for giving the ANC an opportunity in Johannesburg, are you confident on those grounds that your coalition is still solid, especially with murmurs on that the ground is indeed shifting, that the coalition may not be intact?
Well, just two things. Your first reference to us being placed under administration. The Constitutional Court found that we were placed under administration unlawfully for political reasons, not for the reasons you've mentioned. So that has been clarified by the Constitutional Court. As far as coalitions is concerned as a topic, you need to understand where coalitions are formed and where it's supposed to run from, being managed from. We've got a coalition formed in the city of Tshwane. Now, the city of Tshwane, the coalition partners work very, very well together. Whether we in the coalition management committee, in the joint caucus, or in the mayoral committee, that is the executive of the city, all the coalition partners work very, very well together. And we don't have major problems. Where we have disputes, we refer the disputes to a technical committee. So we have functioned very, very well as a coalition. But unfortunately, you get instances in certain parties where party leaders who don't hold any office in the city of Tshwane and interfere with the governance in the city of Tshwane. That is unfortunately the challenge that we have. But from a governance point of view, as the caucuses in the city of Tshwane, the coalition is functioning very well.
We also have seen you and Cocta and Human Settlements MEC Lebogang Maile. There seems to be a blame game over the city of Tshwane's financial woes as Tshwane struggles to pay its bills, especially looking at the situation with Eskom. I mean, you made some clarity on the city's relationship with Eskom, but the MEC wrote you a letter asking you for an explanation, giving you a 7-day time frame. How are you handling that? And perhaps a lot more clarity on the city's finances and the standing, especially looking at the relationship with the power utility.
Okay, it's quite astounding how the MEC publicly display his ignorance. He sent me a letter about the allegations around the finances of the city contained in media statements. Now, he didn't have to refer to allegations in media statements. All he had to do, every month, we submit legislative reports on the finances of the city to the Gauteng Provincial Treasury. Every month, we submit in terms of Section 71 of the Municipal Finance Management Act, where you can clearly see, factually, what is the financial circumstance of the city. And every quarter, those reports are then presented in the Gauteng legislature. So it completely surprises me, astounds me, in fact, that he would instead refer allegations in media statements than to go with official legislated financial documents that we send every month concerning the financial circumstances of the city, the Gauteng Provincial Treasury. It completely baffles me.
So will you be responding to the letter? How are you going to be handling this?
Well, we will fully respond. We will give him an absolute response on every aspect of the finances of the city, of our engagements with provincial treasury, with the MEC of Finance in Gauteng Province, about our engagements with National Treasury, which has been non-stop since we took office at the end of 2020. So we're going to give him all those correspondence, because ideally would like the MEC to be fully informed when he engages with the city of Tshwane on the finances of the city of Tshwane, and not to display his ignorance.
So the 4 billion rand deficit, I know, is something that has been at the center of the back and forth as you speak about it, and perhaps say that it's part of the problem that has you made mention of the unlawful city being placed under administration, and that 4 billion rand deficit being part of a huge factor when it comes to the financial standing of the city of Tshwane today.
Well, let me give you a good example. We were placed under administration in March 2020. So you take a snapshot of the financial circumstances of the city when we were kicked out of office. We had 1.5 billion rands, right, in our reserves. We had an indemnity fund of almost 1 billion rand also available, which we used to pay off our long-term debts. We had 286 million rands in our bank account, cash at hand. We had 10 weeks of cash to cost coverage, right? All of that available. Take a snapshot of when we got back on the 31st of October 2020. All of that was gone. The administrators spent everything. And in addition to that, they incurred a short-term loan with ABSA for 1 billion rands, which we had to repay the end of June the following year. That was the burden they placed on us. They had no clue how to financially manage the city at all. In fact, they gave an instruction to the officials to stop debt collection, which is unlawful. In terms of the Systems Act, you are compelled by the Systems Act to collect revenue.
Mr. Williams, if you'll allow me just to interrupt you, you say they had no idea on how to run the city's finances. So what are the city's finances looking like today, especially as you have been embroiled in a public spat with Eskom over paying Eskom, saying that Eskom is saying that you're not paying on time?
That's correct. We were not paying on time. June, for example, we got a 1.7 billion rand bill. We get it normally on the 2nd of the following month, and then by the 17th, we got 15 days in which to pay it. We were not able to pay it within 15 days. It took us 29 days, so we only paid it at the end of the month. July, again, we got a bill for 1.6 billion rand. Instead of 15 days, 29 days, we paid them in full. August again, we got another bill for 1.6 billion. We will also be able to pay that amount by the end of October. We'll be able to pay that amount as well. So every time we take a bit longer, 14 days longer than what Eskom allows us. But most importantly, we are not a non-payer. We are a slow payer at 14 days. Yes, but if you look at the more than 40 billion rand debt owed to Eskom, and mostly ANC municipalities, Mfuleni owe them more than 5 billion rands for many years. They don't collect on it. They're not bothered with that. So they're trying to play political game with the city of Tshwane. And we tell them, engage with us. Yes, we are slow payer. You are getting your money.
What about the suggestions that you're not paying the salaries of staff on time?
Another thing where unfortunately MEC Mahile was very poorly informed. Now, some of our staff were not paid for the previous month, and we got a letter from IPSA apologizing for the fact that they had a technical problem on the Saturday, which was a public holiday, and they were not able to pay the salaries of third-party banks. They were only able to pay the salaries of employees that banked with ABSA. So we've got the letter whereby they apologize because it was their fault. It had nothing to do with the city of Tshwane. Then you also asked me a question of what has improved. A lot has improved. January, I can give you an example. You've heard about our Tshwane Yatima campaign. We collected in January 2.6 billion rand for that month. Now, for the month of September, we have now collected over 3.5 billion rand. So each month, we have been improving incrementally, and we slowly but surely turning the ship around.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time. Let's leave it there for now. Executive Mayor of the City of Tshwane, Randall Williams.